All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our September Career Connections on Careers in Law Enforcement. My name is Brent Gregorio. I'm going to be your host with you today. First, just a few housekeeping items. Today's session is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel within 48 hours. As well, we'll go ahead and send a link to the recording as well as any additional materials, flyers related to the webinar within a day or two afterwards. As well, because it is in webinar format, all of the lines are muted. But we really do want to hear from you. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, there should be a box labeled QA. We're going to use that box for question and answer. So as we move through the presentation and you think of a question or a question pops in, please go ahead and put that in the Q&A box. And we reserved about 10 minutes at the end of the presentation to go through those questions. All right. So just a little bit of our agenda and our speakers today. From the Bradenton Police Department, we have Chief Melanie Bevin and Sergeant Courtney Cruz. From the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, we have Lieutenant John Morrell and Deputy Amy Holmes. Again, we'll go through the Q&A about the last 10 minutes of the webinar, and then we'll do a quick wrap up and a survey. Once we end the webinar, if you could just stay on 1 extra minute for the survey, we really would greatly appreciate it. We take the feedback very seriously, and it really helps us with future programming and future webinars. So in advance, thank you for taking the time to do that survey at the end. All right, before we jump in, I just want to go over a little bit about the Women's Resource Center. So the Women's Resource Center has been empowering women in Manatee and Sarasota County since 1979. We currently have 3 locations across both counties. We have one in Bradenton on Manatee Avenue West, one in Sarasota on South Tuttle, and then one in Venice on Route 41 South. Additionally, we have a retail store called the Unique Boutique located in downtown Bradenton that sells gently used designer accessories and clothing. And what's great is all of the proceeds from that are funneled directly back into the Women's Resource Center to help fund our programs and services. The Women's Resource Center serves about 1,500 clients a year, and we deliver over 5,000 hours of programming and services each year as well. So a little bit more about our programs and services. So all of our programs and services are offered at no cost or very, very low cost. We like to think that it all kind of begins with our resource advising. And that's really where any woman can pick up the phone, call the Women's Resource Center, have a friendly voice on the other line to get the help and assistance that they're looking for. From there, our resource advisors will typically point our clients in the direction of programs and resources that we offer. However, if it's not something that we offer, we have a lot of community partners where we refer our clients out to as well. Some of the programming and services we offer include mental health counseling, career services and career closets, which I'll discuss a little bit about in just a second. Educational workshops and programs. We offer scholarships each year. At the beginning of the year, we open a scholarship application. As well, we have legal and financial consultation, as well as education consultation and wellness programs. So like I mentioned, a little bit deeper into our career programs and services, as this is a career-focused webinar. The first big main thing we offer is career coaching, which really is an individual one-on-one session with a trained career coach that really can help a client with a variety of things. It's definitely driven by the client's needs, and what that can be anything from job search, career discovery, preparing a resume, mock interviews or interview skills, networking, even salary negotiation. So like I said, it's a really great program because it's driven by the client's specific needs and where they are kind of in their career and what they're looking for. Additionally, as you saw on the last slide, we also have career closets. So our career closets are both our Bradenton and Sarasota locations. They're open every Wednesday from 11 to 3, where any woman can come in and get accessories, outfits, whether that maybe is for a job interview, or maybe they're starting a new job, or even just for everyday wear. Additionally, when our career centers are open, currently all of our locations are closed due to COVID, but we offer all of our services remotely. So when our career centers are open and when they resume, we offer resume writing coaches, computer tutor and training, help with job search, LinkedIn help, really a lot of things that can benefit an individual in their career search. And then additionally, we also offer workshops such as this webinar that we're going through today. Okay, sorry, I skipped that a little bit ahead there. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now, and we're going to get to our first presenter. I'd like to introduce Chief Melanie Bevin and Sergeant Courtney Cruz with the Bradenton Police Department.
Well, good morning. I'm starting my timer here because I know you have this on a strict schedule. And thank you all for joining us, and thanks to all my peers who are on this panel who are going to tell you a little bit about law enforcement, our agencies, and why we think it's a great career no matter what path you choose within law enforcement, because there's a lot of opportunity. Foremost, thank you to the Women's Resource Center. I can give an attestation that it is an incredible organization that really does a lot for a lot of the women in our community. Your CEO, she's the bomb, right? I'm gonna call out Ashley Brown. But thanks for giving us the opportunity to share a little bit about who we are and our story. And I'm just going to start by talking a little bit about my career. I'll age myself a little bit because I like to start by saying that I started when I was 12 in policing, but we all know that's not true. I actually started when I was 19 and spent 29 years at the St. Petersburg Police Department, and left there after having climbed through the ranks, spending time in various divisions. I can tell stories about buying drugs undercover for 5 years. Throughout all of St. Pete, I served on the SWAT team, I served on the CERT team, detective in a few different places, and climbed my way up the ranks to assistant chief. And in 2016, had the opportunity to come to Bradenton and become their chief of police. And it's really been a great run. I've been doing it for 5.5 years now, and couldn't be more proud of the men and women of this agency. And so this agency is about 180 strong. That's 123 officers. And then I have a variety of civilian positions as well. I have a lot of volunteer positions, and that's where I want to start. You may be watching this today and say, policing is not for me, communications, any of these jobs you're talking about, but geez, I'd really like to do a little for my community and get out there a little bit. We have plenty of volunteer positions. In fact, we just posted a volunteer opportunity. We created an outdoor lobby space during the height of COVID last year. It's become a very beautiful garden. In fact, I've married a couple people within that garden. I didn't marry him. I conducted the ceremony. I'm only married to one person. And, while we're out there trying to fight crime and help citizens in our community, we'd love to see people who might want to come and help us pull weeds and keep that space looking nice. So we have everything from help us with gardening to help us with filing paperwork, what have you. And I'm sure when you hear me talk today, I'm not just talking about the city of Bradenton, the Bradenton Police Department. Here in Manatee County, we all get along. Lieutenant Morrell is a friend, his sheriff is a friend. Folks who couldn't be here today, Palmetto Police Department, Holmes Beach, we all share resources. If our goal is to get you here into this region, to this area, and wherever you choose to start your career, it's okay as long as it's here within this region, because we want the best possible. At Bradenton, we not only have some volunteer opportunities, but we have communication center opportunities. Those are the folks who answer the phone calls when 911 is coming in and dispatch jobs that pretty much direct our officers where to go. They're my eyes and ears out there. They have just an incredibly difficult job trying to keep tabs on a lot of dots on a computer screen and keep them safe and sound and make sure they're hearing from them on the radio. That job pays somewhere between 14 and 20 an hour, depending on your experience. All different shifts. We're actually even hiring part-time. There is a little bit of training involved in that, but if maybe law enforcement isn't for you, certainly consider communications. We oftentimes have records positions become available. Again, that pays in the $15, $16 an hour range with opportunity for advancement and raises as you progress over the years. One thing that we have a shortage of right now, and I'm going to kind of speak a little bit to my older crowd, although the younger isn't excluded, is crossing guard opportunities. These folks really just have to work a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the afternoon. They could even maybe elect to be just a substitute. I can't tell you how important this is because they're out there keeping the kids in our community safe and sound. Very, very important task. We can get you right through that process. We have a need for a couple, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that MSO probably does as well. That's got a starting salary of $14.27 an hour, but that's pretty good for a part-time job with limited hours you have to work. So please consider that. Law enforcement. I tell people still to this day, after 35 years in law enforcement, that I can't believe I get paid to do the job I do because I truly, truly enjoy it that much and have since I started at the ripe old age of 19. I've had so many opportunities and there are so many opportunities that abound here at Bradenton Police Department. If you feel within yourself a need to serve and a need to sacrifice to help others, law enforcement may be a consideration for you. I know that a lot of people, I call them my dinosaurs, still think that law enforcement might be, a little more male dominated. And in fact it is, but I will tell you the infusion of diversity of women into our ranks has really made our agencies better. And I know I'm speaking to a largely female crowd, and that's why I'm touching on that. We actually have very good numbers when it comes to the young ladies. I'm not one of those young ladies who showed up here in the past few years. And I think you're going to hear in a minute from one of my sergeants what a good career, what a rewarding career it's been. I will tell you, people watch a little too much TV sometimes, and they think it's all about getting out there and running and fighting and car chases and shootings. And I will tell you that about 90%, 95% of what we do has nothing to do with that. It really is just about impacting the lives of the less fortunate in our community. And I point that out to tell you that law enforcement might be for more people than they think because they've never really considered anything else other than what they see on television. It does take a lot of training. We have sponsorships available to get you through that training from start to finish till you're that solo officer out there on the street by yourself. It's well over a year, but that's a good thing because we're holding your hand. We're making sure that we're preparing you as good as we can to get out there for a life of service and sacrifice. Lots of job opportunities at Bradenton, but what I like to do, because I think I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk and see if there's any questions. I just want you to get maybe a perspective of somebody. She came on about 6 years ago, Sergeant Courtney Cruz, right before I got here. And she's going to share a little bit about who she is and what her story is before we turn it over to Lieutenant Morrell.
Thank you, Chief Bevin. Yes, good morning. My name is Sergeant Courtney Cruz. I've been with the Bradenton Police Department. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I've been here about 6 years. Before that, I worked at Starbucks for a number amount of years. I attended Manatee Technical College, which if you get the Bradenton Herald, you can see a half-page ad about every Sunday or every other Sunday that they're still running. It's a really good school. I went there, and after I graduated the academy, I started doing my research to see what agency was the best to come on to. And I was very impressed with Bradenton with their, how I wanted to go into investigative side. So I was impressed with how they do investigations even on the patrol level. So they really caught my eye. I spoke to somebody at Bradenton Police. At the time, it was an officer that came in my store and asked her, you know, how do you like working for them? And she's like, it's awesome. You should come by, and gave me the recruiter's information. I got hired on pretty quickly, and it's just been a whirlwind from there. In the 6 years I've been here, I've done school resource officer for a little while. I was on patrol for a few years. I have been a part of mentoring programs, which has been really good for me and also good for the community. I also recently got promoted to detective sergeant, but before that, I spent some time in the specialized investigation unit. I did that for a little while. That was really neat. And then I got taken on as a property crimes detective. So in the short amount of time, I really had a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot more opportunities than that. We have canine handlers, we have SWAT, we have a lot of good opportunities for young women everywhere. So I definitely have been thrown into a lot of really awesome, good career choices. And I couldn't ask for a better opportunity than being here.
Thank you, Sergeant Cruz. And she's certainly one of our diamonds, one of our stars here, but we have several of those. And I think she exhibits really what you can accomplish as a young lady coming into a police agency, you know, particularly Bradenton Police Department, if you put your mind to it. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't tell everybody listening to me, hey, you know, what you're talking about sounds pretty interesting. How do I learn more? We have a background investigator, Robert Anderson is his name. You can find his contact information on our website. But his phone number, everybody write this down before you get to MSO's phone number, right? Put it on top of theirs. I'm teasing. 941-932-9367. 941-932-9367. His name's Robert Anderson. Also, if you want to just learn a little bit more about us and who we are and what we do every day, follow us on social media. We have a very robust social media program, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. You can learn a lot about who we are and what we do. And it really gets pretty personal with our officers and their interactions with the community. And it's a great opportunity for you to just sit back and take a look and see if it's something you think you'd be interested in being involved in. And so with that, I will turn it over to my dear friend, Lieutenant John Morrell. Go.
I can say good evening to everyone, afternoon, and thanks, Chief. I know you just said something about putting your number above our number. It doesn't matter. We work together. So, and I also like to thank the Women Resource Center for this opportunity to share information on current career opportunities for the women in Manatee County, or anyone that's outside of Manatee County that's listening to our broadcast today. I am Lieutenant Morrell. I have been with the Sheriff Department now for 35 years and counting. I actually retired in 2016. And I thought the job I had then was one of the best jobs that anybody that joined law enforcement. I was a supervisor of the school resource officer program. And once I did retire, the sheriff asked me to come back as a recruiter. And I tell you, this is a great opportunity for me to get out and meet different people in the community, young and old, or in between, and share about getting a job opportunity in Manatee County. I'm going to speak briefly, and I hope I don't speak too fast. Right now, I'm at the University of Tampa getting ready for a job fair. Wonderful campus here, and I'm just looking at the window now, a nice view. And we're trying to increase some of our numbers in some of the areas that I'll be sharing shortly. I'm going to break it down to our non-certified and certified positions. We're about 1,200 strong as far as non-certified and certified. Just a brief listing of what we currently have open. And if you really want to get more information on each one of the positions, it's on our website, www.manateesheriff.com. Our non-certified currently openings are our booking clerks, child protective investigators, HR manager. It doesn't come up too regular, but it's went up now. Our control room operator, which is located in our jail. Dispatch, I mentioned the chief said something about her agency, and we are in dire needs. And we have an extra bonus just to pull in more people if we could. $1,000 sign-on bonus, and you can get that after training. Along with HR managers, HR specialists, IT desk tech, property clerk, and we asking someone that's available for nights on that one. Same thing with Bradenton Police Department. Crossing guard is one of our top. I think I always kind of make jokes about that. We always look for crossing guards. And it's a nice opportunity if you're looking to do something not every day. When there's no school, there's no work. And when it's a holiday, you have time off, just like the school system. So that's a great opportunity for someone who's just looking to get out and do something in the AM and in the PM. Teletype clerk is available, and we also recruit for volunteers. Now, when I move on to the other side of the field, it's our certified. We actually employ our correction deputies and our law enforcement. Starting salary there is $51,204 as of October the 1st. And we also send recruits for corrections and law enforcement through the academy. And that starting salary is $36,000. Great opportunities for individuals that's really wanting to go in law enforcement, get their career started, because we are actually paying you while you attend the academy. And that is a great deal. Once you complete the academy, you don't have to look for a job. You've been working as you've been going through the academy. You go right into in the jail, you go to our CTEP, which is our corrections training program. Or if you're in law enforcement, you go through our FTO program, which is 16 weeks long. And you may say, well, what's the difference between the certified and non-certified? It's the training. The certified law enforcement corrections, you're 10 academy for 4 for corrections, 6 for the law enforcement. The high risk is on the law enforcement side, as well as the corrections, and the salary, as you can see, increases a great deal. When I look at our numbers for the Manatee County Sheriff's Department, as I said, we're 1,200 strong. We would love to increase on our certified position side. In patrol, we have 347 patrol deputies, 20% are women. On our correction side, 232 correction deputies, 27% women. We'll love to increase that. And that's why I'm so happy to be on this broadcast, so we can motivate our women in Manatee County, hoping that they will have an interest in wanting to join an up-and-coming law enforcement agency. If you ask me what's the difference when I look over on the non-certified, we're heavily employed by our child protective investigators, which employs about 88% of women, and our dispatchers are 65%. So you see the numbers, changing the numbers. And as I move on, I know we have a time restriction. I want to tell you that the process of our steps of hiring in a brief way is, number one, is to go on our website, and we have a simple way of doing it. The application is there, it's electronically. It goes straight to HR once you complete it. And I just really encourage you to really take your time and have a complete application. That's one of the biggest hangups, when we have to really call back and say, hey, there's more information that we need, or information that was left off. After you complete that, and I'm gonna speak on the certified side, they will contact you and let you know that everything looks good. You've been pre-approved, and the next step for certified is our fitness exam. We just moved into a new physical assessment. It's no longer the 5 exercises. We do the PAC test, and that's obstacle course, which includes carrying a dummy that weighs 150 pounds. You can do it. I've seen it. It can be done. Just if you have questions, I'm gonna give you contact numbers with myself and the recruiter. Non-certified positions require typing tests. Some, like our child protected, it includes the psych. We do psych, poly, and oral board for all of our certified positions. If you look at the educational part, the minimum requirement is a high school diploma. Military, we do accept honorable discharge, and then the DD 214. Our drug policy, marijuana usage, you have to be drug-free for past 24 months. Illegal drugs past 36 months. I get into our benefits. Excellent benefits from the Manatee County Sheriff Department. Uniforms for the certified are all given to you and dry clean. 12-day paid holidays, including your birthday. We do have sick leave, we have vacation leaves, we health insurance included. And if you're on a certified, you have a take-home vehicle. Even our child protective investigators have take-home vehicles. And one of the bonuses I like about this when I'm out recruiting, sharing information about getting to law enforcement, that we have a college tuition reimbursement program, meaning that you pay up front, we reimburse you. A's and B's, 100%, C's, 50%. We won't even talk about the D's. I don't think nobody that's listening on to make D's. So, and please, if you would, the recruiting team is located on the website. Myself and Deputy Finkley, our email addresses are there. We are full-time. We take the time to research anything that you have questions on. We also will meet with you one-on-one. Since we're kind of coming at the COVID a little bit, we can do the meet so we can see a name with a face. And I just enjoy what I'm doing. Manatee County Sheriff Department has been a great opportunity for me. And I think it makes it easy when I go out and I share my experience and to share what the Sheriff's Office has to offer to individuals that would love to get their career started in law enforcement. One of the things I always tell potential applicants, you know, Manatee County is growing. Some opportunities there. We not only like to market, to serve and protect, but one thing about the Manatee County Sheriff Department, what I would say, and I know that from the depths of my heart, is that we always look at it family first within and including our community. And we are looking for any individual. So if you're not the one, please pass it on to someone that you know of. And I gladly appreciate that because we're up and growing. And with that being said, I would love to introduce our next guest speaker. Her name is Deputy Amy Holmes. And I'd just love for her just to share her personal testimony, how and why she decided to get into law enforcement. Amy?
Hi, I hope everyone can hear me okay. So my name is Amy Holmes, and I've worked for Manatee County Sheriff's Office for 5.5 years. I used to live in Brooksville, and I did some volunteer work with Hernando Sheriff, and just getting out of high school, going into college to get my associates, I was like, you know, I want to be a law enforcement officer. And my main goal was to join the law enforcement or join the sheriff's office or police department and join the SWAT team. So I got my associates, and then I went to academy at Valencia in Orlando. And at the time, when I graduated police academy, I was only 20 years old. So the places, I'm not saying it was hard to get hired, but a few of the places that I applied to, they didn't like that I was 20 years old. So they would kind of try to refer me to either corrections or something else. And I was like, no, like I already went to academy and I want to be on the SWAT team and be a deputy. So I'm not going to take that route. So I spoke to someone who actually worked in Manatee and they said they liked it. So I applied, and it was a relatively easy process. It wasn't as long as what I thought. So I think it took me about 4 to 6 months to get hired. And then once I was hired, within 2 weeks, I was already out in FTO. So fast forward to about 2 years after being on patrol, there's a 2-year probation if you do want to join the SWAT team. So after I hit my 2 years, I knew the day was going to come soon. So I made sure I trained extremely hard. And then when I finally got to get closer to the tryouts, you know, people find out. I was a little nervous because they hadn't had a female law enforcement officer on the team. They did have a medic who works for EMS and still works for EMS. She's a super awesome person. But they didn't have they've never had a female deputy. So I was very worried or nervous about, would they actually be okay with a female coming on as a SWAT operator? And a few people told me that they wouldn't accept me, but all of them were actually not on the team. So they were just kind of outsiders looking in. So one of my closest friends at the SWAT team, one of my closest friends at the sheriff's office, he reached out to me. He's like, because I actually didn't tell him. And he's like, hey, I hear you're going to try out for the SWAT team. I think you do a great job. And he really gave me the courage to make sure, he gave me the courage for me to be reassured that I can do this and they are going to accept me. So went out there and obviously tried out. Things were successful. And here I am 2.5 years later on the SWAT team. It is the best job. I mean, I haven't had a lot of jobs, but it is the best job in the world. Every day I'm so thankful that I got to hit my goal and they were accepting of me, and they're extremely proud and helpful. And I mean, all the trainings and experience that come from the team. I got to go to SWAT school. I've done some show-ins, which are fun, but in December, I get to go to explosive breacher school, which I'm super, super excited about that. And I mean, that's all I could say for the team. And then as for my law enforcement career in general, like Lieutenant Morrell hit on the tuition reimbursement program. So I did that. I got my associates and I got hired. And then I went to USF, Sarasota Manatee, and got my bachelor's degree in criminology. And they did reimburse me. It was like 90%. It has to do with the tuition rate. But anyway, so they reimbursed me. And then I'm actually planning on starting at USF in January to get my master's. So I think that's a huge deal. I know a lot of people, especially me, myself being still young, I know how expensive college is. I've seen all of my friends get a degree, get in debt, and then can't find a job in their field that particularly they want to work in. So I think tuition reimbursement is a huge deal, and it definitely keeps you from going into debt. Just understand that if you do the tuition reimbursement, you do have to stay with the sheriff's office for 2 years. And then if you feel like you want to, you can move on. So I think that's a big thing. Overall, I really love working at the sheriff's office. I'm very, very proud to put this uniform on every day. I am an FTO, so I'm big in training, and that means a lot to me that the newer people can come on to law enforcement and I can give them my piece, my 2 cents, or kind of mold them into somewhat what I'm like. I would give them my good habits and not my bad habits. So overall, it's great. And I recommend anybody, you can get in touch with me, or you can get in touch with Lieutenant Morrell. And like he said, there's civilian side and there's law enforcement side. So if you think that there maybe won't be a job for you, just take a look. There probably is a job for you. And that's all I can say. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you to all of our presenters. I think that was really, really great information. I love how all of you really highlighted the variety of roles in law enforcement, right? Just like Chief Bevin says, not just what you see on TV. There's frontline, there's civilian roles, there's a lot of opportunity in these industries. And as W. Holmes pointed out, and Lieutenant Morrell, right, from HR to crossing guard to service dispatch. Again, there's tremendous opportunity. So I want to thank you all for your presentations and giving us that valuable insight. Right now, we do have one question that I think is kind of directed at the panel at large. And they asked what or any recommendations you have for preparing for the physical examinations. So I'm not sure if anyone wants to highlight that specifically.
I can. I'll attend our physical fitness every Thursday, and I commented on how we moved from what we used to call the Coopers, which was a 5 exercise. It was a vertical jump, sit-ups, push-ups, 300-meter run, and a 1.5 miles. Then we went to the physical assessment part of it that's governed by FDLE. And now that's this obstacle course, which now you run 200 yards and you go across a wall and you go across some hurdles, and then you go through a serpentine, you low crawl, and then you pick up a 150-pound dummy. And you have 6 minutes and 4 seconds to complete the exercise. How you can prepare is whatever you're doing as physical agility, as far as your own program, continue to do that. When it comes to that part of it, I found out the cardio and the upper body strength is one of the keys in that particular exercise that we're doing. So if you don't have that included in your regimen, that may be something that you really want to include, some upper body and just cardio. If you go out and you like to run 1 mile, 2 miles a day, continue to do that. That's going to help you out a great deal. So that's my advice. And if you go to a gym, they have what they call the one elliptical exercise. And that really helps you with lower body and a little upper body. So
and I'd like to comment on that as well. Are you finished, Lieutenant Moreau? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, go ahead.
And I ditto what he said with regards to preparing yourself, but I want to add a little bit more about why we think it's so important. When we bring you on at 19 years of age, at least here you can be 19, whatever age you are, it's not just about your fitness level walking in the door. What we all strive for is a career of fitness, a career of wellness, not only physically, but mentally. And so what we're trying to do to institute these, and I agree with him, these are not that stringent. Now, for the deputy who made it on the SWAT team, I can't speak for her. Those are stringent, and bravo to her for accomplishing that. That's a great accomplishment. But to get you in the door, it's not as hard as you think. We're just looking for a level of fitness that we can build upon, because our goal is to keep you well your entire career. And why is that important? We got to make sure that when you're out there on your tour of duty, that you can, you can make it through to the end of the day. I always tell my folks, I have 123 officers show up to work every day, and by God, I better have 123 officers go home. We want to make sure that you're mentally and physically fit to defend yourself or another community member as best you possibly can and be able to go home at the end of the day. And so wellness does matter. I'm going to use this opportunity to call out to Detweilers. We actually partnered with them very recently, and we now bring in for snacks for our officers during the day, fruit that they donate just to help perpetuate this idea of healthy eating and wellness and keeping up your fitness level. And so great answer on his part, but I just wanted to add that in as well.
Great, thank you to both of you for answering that question. Looks like we've got another question that just came in as well. Do either departments have a program where someone could work in that helps people with opioid addiction or problems in Manatee County?
We certainly have referral programs. This is something that I don't think either law enforcement agency gets involved in, other than trying to help folks find the services that they need. Obviously, we all carry Narcan. We've all been trained on helping to identify and provide aid to folks that might be suffering from opioid overdose or just having problems with addiction. And so all of our officers and deputies are well equipped and where to send some people to get the best care possible. It is an issue within our community. It's an issue throughout the U.S., and it's something that we are trying as best as we possibly can from a law enforcement side to steer folks in the direction that they need to be steered towards.
And I'd just like to add that within the correction setting, that the sheriff, he introduced the program which networked with other outside business partners, faith-based. When a person, and we know that why people usually return back because they're dealing with something. And his goal is to actually bring these services within the correction setting. I don't know how many graduations he have had, but he presented them with certificates of completing the training and hoping that they can network once they walk outside that door, and that the help that he has offered through the resources, that maybe they will attach to it, and we won't see them back in that particular setting, but hopefully in a working setting.
Excellent. Thank you, Lieutenant Morrell. It looks like we have another question that just came in as well, asking which non-certified positions have night shifts?
So I can tackle that one. Primarily, that would be the communications, at least for BPD is concerned, would be the communications section, because they work the same hours as the officers. We actually operate on an 11.5-hour day, 12-hour day almost. We do that within the sworn side, and we've tried some different models, and so we actually have a mixture within our communications of both 12-hour days and 10-hour days. And so we certainly try to find ways to accommodate schedules. We are very family oriented and try our best to make sure that what you're working and what you're doing is a good fit for your family. I say that not that as a brand new rookie, you're going to come and skate right in and get day shift. I don't want to set up that idea, because I think all of us on this call know that we've had to do our time on different shifts to get that kind of experience, and hopefully gain some seniority so that we have a little bit more of a selection.
On the sheriff department side, some of our night details non-certified would be some of our clerks positions. I mentioned one when I was giving my information out, that we have one available now. It's a property clerk up at the jail. They actually specifically asking for a night clerk there, but most of the clerks are 24/7. So as I said, visit the website, and a lot of our job descriptions and the time frames for all positions are there.
Excellent. Thank you, Lieutenant Morrell and Chief Bevin. It looks like at this time we don't have any other questions. So I really would like to thank our panelists again for their time, for their insightful information. I'd love to thank all of our attendees for attending this webinar. I want to remind you, we will send out a link to the recording as well as additional materials, information on who to contact, job listings, all of that will be included in our email that you can expect within a day or two. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, once we end, if our attendees wouldn't mind staying on for just 1 extra minute, it's a very brief survey, and it really, really, really helps us. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.